Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to each and everyone. We will discuss the introduction of micro teaching. You know that the economic prosperity and good quality of any nation depends upon the development of the human resources of that nation. The significant fact in the development of manpower resource refers to the competencies and the level on which the competencies are imparted. You also know that it largely depends on those who develop those competencies. Therefore, for this purpose, we need highly competent teachers for imparting these competencies. It is essential that the teacher imparting these competencies should have the capability to perform their task efficiently. For this, they need to acquire requisite competencies themselves. In the present unit, we will attempt to understand as to what competencies are essential for becoming better teacher and how these competencies can be imparted. So, let's proceed to the objectives. There are the objectives. After going through this unit, you will be able to understand the teaching skill, understand the concept of micro teaching, understand the principle underlying micro teaching skills, analyze the complex process of teaching into essential micro teaching skills, understand the procedure of micro teaching for developing teaching skills. Okay, defining teaching. Teaching as a transfer of a knowledge from teacher to pupils. Teaching as the facilitation of the pupils by the teacher and the teacher and the art of learning. Teaching as a social act of influencing pupils by the teacher. Teaching as a doing anything that might lead to learning. For me, teaching is a challenging job because you must be the role model to your pupils. It means helping all the students succeed. It means allowing them to pursue their passion and supporting them all along the way. And also means giving student ownership over their learning and helping student wants to learn. There are so many definitions of teaching. So let us see the first box. Okay, so this is the first definition in the box 1. So you may see teaching means many different things. The teaching act varies from person and from situation to situation. The behavior or activities of person as they go about doing whatever is required of teachers, particularly those activities which are concerned with the guidance or direction of learning of others. Teaching is the arrangement of contingencies of reinforcement under which students learn. They learn without teaching in their natural environment, but teachers arrange special contingencies which expedite learning and hastening the appearance of behavior which might otherwise never occur. Teaching as an act of interpersonal influence aims at changing the way in which other person can or will behave. So from the definition of teaching given in box 1, it is evident that teaching is very complex activity. However, it can be broadly conclude the teaching activity. It is imparting knowledge or skill. It involves doing all things that may lead to learning. It is also a social act of influence. From all these components of teaching, we can say that there is no specific and universally accepted definition of teaching and teacher effectiveness. Okay, so let's see the box number 2. Okay. So under box number 2, the minimum requirement of any training program is that it should enable to acquire the basic skills of competencies of a good teacher. From Challenge of Education Policy Perspective 1986 National Commission on Teacher. Teachers' performance is the most critical input in the field of education. So, the continues box 2. The teacher training too is not planned and organized to develop the spirit of inquiry, initiative, scientific temper, manual dexterity, conceptual clarity, and linguistic skills for effective speaking and writing which teachers are expected to impart to their students. Adequate attention is also not given to develop communication skills which is article to the functions of the teachers. It is also from Challenge of Education, a Policy Perspective 1986 National Commission on Teachers. It may not be wrong to say that in such defective practical and theoretically overloaded teacher education program, the trainee remains almost at the same level in his teaching competence even after training. From RC, thus an associate 1980 in CERT. But this box too, it is no research support to prove its effectiveness. But this is also uh, one, uh, this is also a definition of a teaching. Status of a teacher training before micro teaching. General observations about teaching and teacher training based on the finding of researches conducted in India and abroad before the introduction of micro teaching practice were no consensus on the procedure followed and various aspects of teaching in the training colleges. No specific training objective to guide student teaching. Haphazard and undiscriminating supervision of practice teaching. L planned, L supervised, and L assisted. Subjective feedback with respect to teacher training performance. In the reference of box number 2, there is no research support to prove its effectiveness. In the light of this research finding and the reflections contained in Challenge of Education, a policy perspective microteaching is a new approach in teacher education. Now it has become the part and parcel of teacher education programs relating to teacher training. So what is microteaching? In my research, it is all about delivering a short session, ideally, to your peer group if you are working towards a teaching qualification. It is the perfect opportunity to demonstrate skills, knowledge, and understanding in an environment that is support and non-threatening. So, concept of micro-teaching. Micro-teaching is a teacher training technique which helps the teacher trainee to master the teaching skills. It requires the teacher trainee to teach a single concept of a content, using a specified teaching skills for a short time to a very small number of pupils. Thank you and wassalam.